Coach, earlier this preseason, you guys had a chance to go as a team to a camp together. How did that affect your guys' offseason and kind of help you guys come together as a team?
Well, Wartburg's been going to camp for 40 years. You know, it's a tradition. If I got rid of camp, you know, there'd be a mutiny in the program. Why do we go to camp? It gives us an opportunity to really practice what we preach in regards to running, you know, for one another. Distance run's it's a tough sport, right? Solo, right? And obviously it gets a little easier when you're running for something bigger than yourself. So we take those 2 weeks and just get to know each other and know what we're all about. So camp helps a lot, and it certainly helps me manage some things that I'd have to force otherwise.
What do you feel are some areas of growth for the team this season?
Well, the men, the biggest area of growth is the roster. We have a lot of them. You know, there's over 60 men, you know, on that team, and something we always say to the men, we can either let our size, you know, be a part of our success or get in the way. You know, everybody's got to be all in, working towards the same goals. Genuinely, when it comes to leadership, guys have it. You know, when it comes to numbers, guys have it. When it comes to a big freshman class, guys have it. Talent, depth, you know, guys got it. The women, we lost a lot. You know, so we're excited about, you know, the things that we need to do, that the areas that we need to grow, you know, on the women's side, because I feel like we can cover those holes left from some pretty studly graduates. You know, we'll see. You know, we'll see.
That was going to be my question is, what are the potential storylines for this year? You know, people not seeing the last name Colette, Fisher, Hostager on your results. You know, who are the next ones we should be looking for?
Yeah, so Aubrey Fisher, of course, 14-time All-American for us. She's now a GA at Mount Mercy. So on Friday, I saw her for the first time in 5 years, not wearing, you know, orange or black, and just seeing her in blue, and that really that was the biggest reminder. Okay, but the cool thing about these gals we had, Lexi Brown and Shaylin Hostager and Jenna Morey, Addie Carlson, Ashley, but we had some seniors. They can't necessarily be replaced as far as personality and character and all the things they brought to the team, but the intangibles that they had, they were brave, they worked hard, they were all in, they were committed. We have a team that I think can at the very least mirror those attributes, and if we can do a good job with that, then you're going to see some of that growth that you asked about, Gabe. I mean, on paper, our women, we're not beating Central this year, and we're a dark horse team to make the national meet, and I think that's the biggest story. What are we going to do with paper? Are we going to just sort of fall into the script and fall into that narrative, or are we going to do something about it? I think we can have a pretty special team this year. Frankly, I think we're a little bit better, than other people might think. I mean, we do have some stalwarts in Ellie Meyer and Haley Meyer, but we have some names that we haven't really heard of because COVID was terrible. COVID eligibility, it helped us, certainly on the women's side, but it hurt some of our runners in the sense that they didn't get their name called. Normally they would have been, saying, hey, it's your turn a year earlier. They're chomping at the bit for a chance to show up in the scoring. So gals like, Kelly Giardina, like Lily Peterson, Carly Kramer. I mean, these are juniors who've been around our program that, again, they just haven't had their name called. Well, their names are being yelled awfully loud now. So that'll be a fun story. With the men, I mean, we really have no excuses. Not that anyone's ever looking for excuses, but we bring them all back except Khaled. Now that's a strange thing. I've had a Khaled on my roster now, for 8 years. 8 years with Karina, the sister. But we bring back roughly 15 of our top 16 runners. So we have high goals, and hopefully, we can see those things through. Yeah.
You mentioned Central earlier. How do you think this year is going to play out as far as top to bottom from the ARC competitively on both the men's and women's side?
Well, on the men's side, we're hard to beat. I've never got in front of one of these cameras and said that, we're a lock because, it's athletics and I'm competitive and I know my fellow coaches in the conference are competitive as well. But I feel like our men, we'd have to have an awfully bad day to not, see this thing through and find ourselves at the national meet, running for a podium spot. I mean, we just have so much depth. The rest of the conference, Loris brings back a nice crew. And I think that's a national team. They got a transfer from John Carroll. It's going to help them out. And they always do a good job. Longtime coach Bob Schultz stepped down this year. We're going to miss Bob. He's a great guy, but they got good leadership replacing him. I could see Central getting themselves out to nationals. But just good crews. This is the best Dubuque team I've seen in a while. Nationally, though, I think we'll probably get 2 or 3 teams out. On the women's side, I think it's going to be a real tough fight between us and Central. Loris has got a nice team. Again, we saw Dubuque the other day, and those women are maybe the best I've ever seen. Good. Rich over there is doing a heck of a job. But on paper, right, that's what we're talking about. Central is, they definitely beat us up front. Which I haven't said that in a while, getting beat up front. But it's the mid-pack, it's the depth that's going to have to see them through. But I think Central could be a top 20, top 15 in the nation team, maybe even better than that. And I could see us, following suit as well. Conference is great. Conference is always good. Nebraska Wesleyan's, coming around. They're getting better. So anyway, some good individuals. Simpson's got, maybe the top individual, in the conference potentially. We'll see what our girls have to say about that, but should be an exciting year as always.
What challenging parts of the schedule stand out for both teams?
Well, the schedule is really set up for mid to late season success. We're kind of an interesting sport where what happens early in the season, not to say that it doesn't matter, right? But what matters in those meets is, are we now better for later down the road? We don't get penalized. For instance, if football had an early season loss, they're going to get penalized for that loss. For us, we can really treat a lot of our early season meets, like harder workouts or really focus on various aspects of our sport, and not worry about we could have freshmen go out and go out hard, and then, crawl in, and be just fine. So our schedule is really set up to have multiple peaks. Our first peak is mid-October. We'll be going to Augustana for the Interregional Rumble. That's going to be an incredibly important meet for our women. Our women are not, in a position, to necessarily win that regional this year with Chicago and WashU being such strong teams. So we need as many out-of-region wins as possible. Our men will be just fine, wherever we go. We're going to see great competition September 21st down at Indiana State. Now, the NCAA calendar as far as countable wins, and if you didn't follow that, it's fine. Not many people do. It doesn't start till September 28th. So when they say, what happens in Terre Haute stays in Terre Haute, right? You've heard that? Well, that's true. It's not going to matter on the national level, but our men are going to see lacrosse. We're going to see Lynchburg. We're going to see North Central. We're going to see Calvin. So it's going to be an interesting meet at the very least. Kind of go back and look at the feedback. But our women have nothing to lose. We go to September 21st. Let's see what we got, and then we won't have to. We won't reap any negatives if we take some losses. But mid-October, we have to peak for that, especially on the women's side, and then kind of gather ourselves together and then be ready to rock again at Augustana again. In early November for that, or mid-November for regionals.
Going back to storylines this time on the men's side, Tyler Schermerhorn had a heck of a track season last year. How do you see that translating to cross country, or what does his development maybe look like in that transition? It's
a funny one, right? We bring back 6 of our top 7 from last year's 5th place in the nation team, and Schermerhorn wasn't on that team. Here's a guy now, second in the nation in the 10K. He's not a top 7 guy in cross country. He will be. I think he's very quickly going to establish himself as one of the favorites, top 5 guys in the country. What hasn't happened, in years past, was freshman year he broke his leg, so that was tough. you know. And last year he had a good season. It just wasn't quite good enough, you know, to place him in the top 7. You know, testament to our program. But you know, he's kind of, let's just say he's tired of that. He's tired of watching national meets, you know, instead of running them. You know, so totally changed the dynamic of our program because, you know, to be in a position to lose. I mean, I was up at the course the other day and they just updated the boards. And we got a graduate in Christopher Collett. Out of 10 distance records, he's a part of 7 of them. And I mean, holy cow. That's the kind of guy we lose. And to have somebody like Sherm just sort of raise his hand and say, you know, hey, it's my turn. And then you throw in 5th years like Jacob Green, you know, like Sammy Schmidt, you know, that have come back to see this thing through. You know, guys like Jack Kinzer, Sabaski's been there, Shane Erb, you know, Isaiah Hammerend was there last year. I mean, Goodenbauer, Clay Peel, Eli Larson. I mean, we have so much depth. The hardest part for the men, I mean, you want to talk about stories, and lacrosse is in the same boat we are. The hardest part is that we can only choose 7. You know, when we see them in Indiana, we get to run 30. So if one of them's having a bad day, it's going to be all right. You know, but we gotta get these guys clicking so they can all, you know, celebrate on the same day. You know, and that'll be the tricky part. But yeah, Sherm's going to be, you know, in a lot of headlines this year. You know, he's ready to go. Confidence is sky high.
Good luck this season.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.